Now I know what you guys are probably thinking. The Son of Batman? Wait a second. This movie doesn't come out till like May 6th. How does this guy know about it? How can he do a review about it? Well, for anybody who's asking that question, I just want to tell you, mind your business. But seriously though, this is The Son of Batman, and this is an official review, okay? This isn't, I'm not just making this shit up. I actually seen the movie. I actually got it early from a friend. And I actually just recently sat down and watched it. So this is like my full rendition of me after I finished watching The Son of Batman. And what do I have to say right off the back? I liked it. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to like it. At first I had high hopes and I was like, you know, this is one of the movies kind of like The Dark Knight Returns. You know, it's definitely just an animated adaptation off of the comic book, and it's kind of hard to do that, especially for a short running time as this is, or short by today's standards, because movies today are so freaking long. It's only an hour and 14 minutes, but it is an hour and 14 minutes of goodness, or at least for the most part. And I'll get to that in a second. But does it do what The Dark Knight Returns did? Well, as far as The Dark Knight Returns, I liked the first part of it, and I'm talking about the direct-to-video animation, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go Google it. I will put pictures in the video so you will know what I'm talking about or referring to. But where something like The Dark Knight Returns, which was also a comic book animated adaptation, I liked the first part, didn't really like the second part, although I thought it was very true to the comics as well. So that film did fine. So as far as the Son of Batman, I think it held up reasonably well. And I'm just going to come off and say it here. In the beginning, it's set like a sort of over-the-top tone, and let me mention that in a second. Okay, so it starts off with Batman's son. If you never read the comic books that was released back in 2006 and later on, Batman inadvertently has a son with Talia al Ghul, who is the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, and or Ra's, as some people like to say, Christopher Nolan only movie people like to say, Ra's al Ghul. I say Ra's, you know, I go from what the animated series taught me, how to pronounce his name correctly, so Ra's al Ghul.
You helped the original Batman fight Raz one last time in the near apocalypse of '09. For the last couple of decades, you've been putting your father's money to work cleaning up the mess he made. Current residence is a 200-acre estate on New Cuba. What? Did you think I was down here playing vid games?
Very thorough, Terry. Though father's name was pronounced Raish, not Raz. A common mistake.
Fair enough.
Okay, so Ra's al Ghul is, you know, he's there in his League of Assassins fortress. You know, he's overlooking all his followers training for whatever next assignment that they have. And he's standing there, and Talia comes up with her son Damien, and she's like, Damien, who's a really interesting character, by the way, but I'll get to him in a second. So she comes up and Ra's tells Damien, he's like, one day this will all be yours. You will be my successor. And Damien's like, yes, grandfather. And from there, they get attacked by ninjas. So, okay, the League of Assassins, which is made of ninjas, gets attacked by ninjas. And, which is hilarious. I'm like actually laughing in the beginning how over the top it is and how trying to force a plot point is trying to get out. Which actually later on, it starts getting better. In the beginning, it was sort of like, okay, you know, this film's okay, it's not so bad. And then it started to gradually get better as it went on. And overall, it ended off pretty good. But anyway, so they get attacked by these other ninjas, who's led by a familiar character, Deathstroke. So Deathstroke supposedly was buddy-buddy with Ra's al Ghul, and he was supposed to be the new successor. But Batman came along, Ra's al Ghul became obsessed with him. If you've ever seen any of the other animated adaptations, you already know how Ra's al Ghul wants Batman to be his successor. So he could never get Batman to be his successor. So it was up to Talia, so to speak. And it's pretty funny how they say how Damien came to be, how Batman came to impregnate her. We already know what you have to do to impregnate a woman, but It's just how they went about it was pretty funny. This movie actually has some little bit of funny bits in it, and it mostly came from centered around Damien. It was mostly like the awkward moments, like the father finding out after 10 years that he has a son, which was really awkward but funny. Alfred meeting him saying that he's like a spitting image of you, except he's more of a little brat. And that was funny. Nightwing is also in this, and he himself isn't as funny as his other adaptations. He's mostly serious. This is also kind of on the Young Justice animation. I think it's the same animation studio that does this. And they do really good animation. They've always did it. Even when I was watching something like Young Justice, I was like, that's some really good animation. And this movie is the same, just like some of the other animated movies that they did, you know, Under the Red Hood. It's not as good as Under the Red Hood. Let me just say that right now. So if you're saying, well, is it as good as some of the other animated direct video movies? No, it's close. It's probably on the level of, I never seen Justice League War. I never seen Justice League Flashpoint, so I can't quote myself on those. It's probably close to past Justice League Apocalypse, or was it Superman and Batman Apocalypse, Batman, Superman Apocalypse, whatever, the Apocalypse movie. And probably in between that and Superman and Batman Public Enemies, which I thought was a better movie. It's in between those, so it's good. It is good. Even though I thought Superman, the Apocalypse movie, was a little weaker than Public Enemies, you know, I thought it was fine for the most part. And this one was better than that. And Public Enemies was better than that. And Under the Red Hood was possibly my favorite video animated DC movie video go straight to video type movie. God, I keep fucking repeating myself. But okay, so getting back to what it was. Okay, so Deathstroke is attacking the fortress. He sneaks in. How can he sneak in? This is a whole fortress that's run by the League of Assassins, you know, the big people that you even know from some place like Arkham City, who was all female assassins, but that was when Talia mostly took over, I guess. Or maybe Ra's just decided to go with female assassins, which was great. But anyway, and here, the point of the matter is, how the fuck did they sneak in? They even bring like a whole army of helicopters, and they just start, this guy's on the Gatling guns and just start shooting through all the ninjas, just killing mass numbers of them. It's really crazy. And Talia's like, okay, Damien, stay here. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna kick some ass. So she goes out. She's pretty freaking badass, man. She's throwing spears and shit like this. And it's so funny having ninjas with guns versus ninjas with swords. And the ninjas with swords are obviously losing. But except for Talia, she just goes out there. She just like cuts up like 7 or 8 people, shoots them, kicks a guy's shotgun, takes it, shoots him with it. It's really crazy. It's over the top. Ra's al Ghul is being shot by people. He's being shot by these by you know, these ninjas that work for Deathstroke. And what makes it funny is that he just goes head first, just runs at them head first with the sword. He's like, shh, and he's blocking all the bullets with the sword, and nothing can touch him. There's like 10 people. Okay, like imagine behind me or so, there's like 5 to 7 people all lined up right here, and they're pointing their guns at me and they're gonna shoot me, right? Okay. Take at me right here. I'm taking the sword, right? I'm taking the sword and I'm just like running straight at them. I'm running straight at them and they can't hit me. It's so over the top. I love it. Ra's isn't in there for long. I don't think I'm giving anything away by saying that he gets killed. And you'll probably say, why don't they use the Lazarus Pit? Well, no, they don't use the Lazarus Pit. Why? I don't know. Because they're like, oh, he's dead. Okay, he came back from death before. It's hard to believe that he's dead now. They're like, oh no, he's officially dead. He basically gets set on fire by Deathstroke because they do shoot missiles at his fortress and he gets engulfed in the flames, and he somehow manages to make it all the way to the basement, gets 2 inches away from the Lazarus Pit, and dies. It's really crazy. It's over the top. Ra's isn't in there for long. I don't think I'm giving anything away by saying that he gets killed. And you'll probably say, why don't they use the Lazarus Pit? Well, no, they don't use the Lazarus Pit. Because they're like, oh, he's dead. Okay, so getting back to what it was. Okay, so Deathstroke is attacking the fortress. He sneaks in. How can he sneak in? This is and Damien gets down there after the fighting's over, which, let me go back to one second. One of the fighting scenes in there, Talia gets on a Gatling gun, and it's basically kind of like Red Dead Redemption style, where you have to crank up the gun. Like, why the fuck would they have something that old school? But it doesn't matter. So she's there, and she gets on a Gatling gun, and she's cranking it right. I'm like, oh yeah, she's about to take out all these motherfuckers, and starts shooting out arrows. It's shooting out arrows. It's not even shooting out bullets, and it somehow destroys these helicopters. I think the arrows are metal. I think they're metal arrows, but the fact is that they're fucking arrows, and they just come out there and just, well, if they're metal, it makes it easier, but at first you can't tell. I actually had to slow down the video in order to see whether the arrows were metal or not, and I think they are. But, yeah, so she goes and they're shooting out these arrows. It's like Ra's al Ghul's League of Assassins is so old school. It is ridiculous. And then you got Deathstroke, or Slade, as everyone knows him. You got Slade Wilson's ninjas, who are just badass with their guns and shit, and they got helicopters. They're using technology at their disposals. They got swords, but, you know, if we're gonna go to a field, an army of ninjas, an army of people, we're gonna use our fucking guns, man. We're not gonna use a sword. And these guys are just getting slaughtered. But anyway, they somehow managed to get them to retreat after Deathstroke basically says, okay, so, you know, I guess we killed Ra's al Ghul. He does fight Damien, who actually is the reason why he has one eye, which is complete bullshit, but, excuse me, it's great. Him and Damien just having like a little sword fight and stuff like that, Damien's trying to protect Ra's while he's on the ground, and Damien stabs Deathstroke in the eye, and Deathstroke does like this funny yell, man. It's just like, okay, the voice acting in this movie is actually really good, but it's just that one part. He's just like, you have to see it if you want to know what I'm talking about. Okay, so Ra's ultimately, like I said, he gets to the Lazarus pit 1 inch away and he dies. And Damien's like, okay, you know, we have to hurry up and put him in, right? And everyone's just like, he's like, no, come on, guys, what are you doing? And Talia comes over, she's like, no, my son, he's dead. And he's like, what are you talking about? We can just put him in there. She's like, no, he's dead. You mean a guy who, they confirm this in the movie, who has been living for over 500 years, perhaps even longer according to the animated series. And I'm gonna keep referring to the animated series, I'm sorry. And you mean to tell me this one little time, because the Lazarus pit could not work for him? Complete bullshit. I think it makes no sense at all. I think he's been through worse. But anyway, so at this point, she's like, I'm gonna take you to Gotham to be Batman. And he's like, who's Batman? Oh, he's your father and stuff like that. And the son of Batman. And then from there, it basically just goes on to this tracking down Deathstroke sort of thing. And because Deathstroke takes over the League of Assassins, I guess, well, his version of it, there are still some ninjas that follow Talia. Because, you know, Talia's still alive. But from there, we also find out that Obu, if you remember Obu from the animated series, he was Ra's al Ghul's sort of assistant. He's the one who turned on him and calls Deathstroke to find out his location. So now he's Deathstroke's assistant, which is great. There's a good fight scene between him and Damien. Damien gets a lot of fight scenes in here, and he's pretty brutal and such a great character, actually. I really enjoyed Damien's character. What I didn't like about him, probably the voice. Like I said, the voice acting in here is really good. It's spot on. But I just felt as though, sorry, just checking the camera here. Okay, I've been talking for 14 minutes. I just felt as though this kid probably played him a little too young. I know Damien's supposed to be like 10 or 12, but I don't know who his voice actor is. Stuart somebody. But this kid seemed like he was like about 8 or 9 or something, and his voice is just really squeaky. I don't know why. It just annoyed me at some points, but the points when he's fighting, he's just like, ah, yeah, ah, like that. That was fine. And then there was other points where he's just talking normally, and You know, he's supposed to be this brat, this, you know, this, well, fetch me my tea, servant, he says to Alfred or something like that. That's fine. It's just, it's some other scenes, it's just so squeaky that it kind of annoys me. It's like, hey, it's a little high pitch, but he does fine. He does a passable job. Batman pretty much has the same tone throughout the entire movie, whether he's Bruce Wayne, whether he's Batman, but the guy did pretty good. Like I said, Nightwing is in this, and God, I don't understand this part. There's a part when Damian's about to kill somebody, I'm not going to reveal who, and Nightwing stops him because he's patrolling this part of the city. And supposedly they have a fight, but it's shown off screen. Why would you show the fight off screen? And then they give us this bullshit where they show us like these screenshots at the end of the credits, which doesn't make any, which makes no sense at all. But anyway, so the story is wrapped around about Batman trying to get his son basically to see things his way. And I do like the interaction between them for most of what we get. It's mostly based off of Damian and his growth, so to speak, and his connection, getting closer to his father, which is fine. And that's where the movie's strongest point is that that and the fighting. The fighting is actually pretty good. Like I said, not as good as something like Under the Red Hood, which was just fantastic, but pretty good for what it was. I do like the jokes that they give out. Most of the jokes come from the awkwardness about being around, having Damian around. There's a part when Commissioner Gordon, he's signaling for Batman jumps down and stands next to Gordon. He introduced the new Robin. And of course the new Robin is Damian. That's no big surprise there. We all knew he was going to be Robin. And which Nightwing wasn't too happy with, but that only happens briefly. It's pretty funny though, just used as a side joke. And he comes down and Gordon's like, "You got another one?" And Batman's like, "I'll explain later." So they move on to this part where Gordon brings evidence from a crime scene, gives it to Batman, and there's a number on it. And Batman's like, whose number is this? He's like, "Did you guys call it or contact the person?" And Gordon's like, "Oh, it's a sex hotline." He doesn't get the full word sex out. He just says, he's like, "Oh, it's a sex," and then he looks over at Damian, who's like he doesn't understand it, and Commissioner's like, "It's a chat hotline." that part, and stuff like that is great, and it's a good thing there's a good bit of that awkwardness in the movie. Not a whole lot. I wish it was probably explored a little bit more, but they did all they could do. So, and overall, what did I think about the movie? Well, like I said in the beginning, I thought it was pretty good. I had a lot of fun with it. Could it have been better? For the most part, I thought the story was going to be a little weak. It is centered around Dr. Langstrom. If you guys know who Dr. Langstrom is, he is the original Man-Bat. And he's basically making this formula that he was doing for Ra's al Ghul, but now he has to do it for Deathstroke. And Deathstroke is holding his family hostage, and of course his family already know who Batman is with the whole Man-Bat situation that we've had before. If you guys know any of the old Batman stuff. This world still follows the same Batman lore that we know. So if you watch like the animated series or any other Batman adaptation, you know that they met each other already. So they're aware of each other. There is one part though where Nightwing says Batman's identity, Bruce, like right in front of the Doctor, and the Doctor's just like, he doesn't care. He does not care. There's even a part where Deathstroke wants to know, he heard of the rumors of him and Batman and Talia getting together, and he finds out that Damian is Batman's son, so he's like, "Who's Batman?" And she's like, "Never, I will never tell you." And then Nightwing just, you know, in this other scene just says his name like right in front of this guy. What the fuck, Nightwing? Like, what the fuck? Nightwing does not get any fight scenes in here, so if you was looking for some kick-ass Nightwing scenes, you're wrong. He doesn't get a whole lot in here. He gets a little bit of screen time for the most part. And I do how he has like this little bit of jealousy towards Damian. At first it was kind of weird, but he didn't want him to be the new Robin. But Damian was actually kind of getting not a little bit obsessed with being Robin. He was kind of getting like, yeah, I can be Robin. Hell yeah, it's easy. I mean, shit, I've been training since I was 4 fucking years old. I can be Robin. And Nightwing's like, no, man, you're not ready to be Robin. And Batman comes along, he's like, he's ready to be Robin. Okay, and Nightwing's just like, I'm not gonna like this, am I? So, yeah, so little jokes like that. And like I said, most of the jokes come from them being around Damian, because Damian is so serious. And why so serious? And he's just as serious as Batman. So he's just basically like a miniature Batman. He kind of reminds me of Vegeta. And, of course, there's a good bit of Japanese influence with these, anime influence with these new animation movies and stuff like that, which is really good. So yeah, so in conclusion, I really did like The Son of Batman, and I don't know, I might see it again. Like Under the Red Hood, I saw it twice, so I would probably want more. I think if they're gonna make a sequel with this, I'll be fine with it. I thought it was it kept me invested for the most part. I thought the story was going to be a little weak, but it was pretty good. It all came down to this making super soldiers type deal, which we heard before, but it works out fine here. So overall, I think it was a pretty good movie, and people who would probably like this, it will most likely be people who are fans of Batman, of course. If you read the comic book series, you might like this too. It's a little quick because it's only an hour and 14 minutes, so it's not like reading a bunch of chapters of a comic, but it pretty much gets his point across for the most part. He is Robin for like the second half of the movie, so that's pretty good if you wanted to see that. If you want to see him wear the outfit, and his outfit looks badass, by the way. Mostly everyone's outfit in here looks awesome. The designs from these animation studios, it's really good. And I said this about, of course, Batman looked like his Young Justice version, and I just really love the animation from this team. So overall, I'm sorry I couldn't show any clips or anything like that, because you know how it is. The movie's not out yet at the time of making this review. But I wanted to get the review out so I could just give my 2 cents on it. And I'm just checking the time here. Okay, 22 minutes. I've been talking for too long. So, alright, I will see you guys in my next video, which I will be making soon. And I want you all to take care and see this movie when it comes out. Alright? Catch you later.